All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. It is Yom Shishi evening, and I'm giving all praises, honor, and great esteem unto the Most High Power, Yahweh, Bashem, Hamashiach, Wamalak, Yahweh Shai. You are live and direct with your Akazaki Yahoo to the 12 tribes of Israel who are scattered to the four quarters of the earth. I say shalom wa baruchim. That is peace and blessings. And I cannot wait to the day when the Most High brings us back together and we are once again 12 tribes, one family, one nation, under the Most High power, under one covenant, back in our own land with a heart of flesh and no more a heart of stone, with our enemies, our adversaries, and all those who hate us under our feet. All praises to the Almighty Yah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yes, indeed. I'm joined this evening by my most esteemed Kenaniah. Shalom, Aki.
Shalom Aki. Shalom Yasharal. Kwam Yasharala.
Yes, indeed. Shalom. Peace and rise, Israel. Rise.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for us to rise. You know, we was just talking about the reality of this society right now. But before we jump into that, I want to send prayers out to the Adawan. I don't know if y'all can see my mouse. It's not showing here. Okay, my cursor. Oh, there it is. All right. To the Adawan here, for the Adawan, he has some problems at his home. And, it's 10 o'clock at night. And he realized, he got a problem that he got to deal with on the Yom Shishi evening. And he got kept tomorrow. But Adawan need prayers is what I'm trying to say here. So we're going to keep the Adawan lifted up. And, man, not only him, we're going to lift up all the nation in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Just talking about crazy situations that has gone on. This first video here is about a sundown town that brothers is coming up missing. You know what I'm saying? Brothers is coming up missing alive, and they being found unalived in 2025.
Yeah.
I mean, what in the world is going on here? Meanwhile, we got all manner of folly and ridiculousness going on among our own people. Some not in the truth. Some, just crazy stuff. And my question is, what are we gonna learn? What are we gonna take away from all of these situations and circumstances that we've been faced with to really get an understanding of what's really going on? Like, how important is it to be idiots or to be foolish, and how unimportant is it to take nothing away from all this that we've been dealing with? I mean, we've been put in the worst possible circumstance in human existence. You think that's a coincidence? You think that just happens out of nowhere? I mean, this is ridiculous. And through this whole situation, we've done nothing but get worse.
Yeah.
Worse. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm shameful. I'm shameful of the whole situation. I was telling my aunt, I saw a video of a girl, a headline of a video. I couldn't even click on the stupid video. It was too stupid. The girl said she was going to do something, ended up fighting her grandmother. Since when do our people fight our parents and our grandparents? Like, that's not our behavior. We don't behave like that.
Right.
That's not who we are. We've been instilled from ever since I can remember to honor our parents, to do well with our parents, to respect our parents, never to fight your grandmother. I mean, how crazy you got to be. That's not even behavior that our people have ever exemplified in history. You don't fight your grandparent, your grandmother. Who does that stupid stuff? Heathens do that. You don't even got to understand that you're royal to not do something that doggone stupid. Like, that's not even something that you got to be. You ain't got to have good sense to not do something that's stupid.
It's a shameless. We have become a shame. Well, I say become, but we've become more shameless than before. You know, I can remember my cousin when she was like 20, 21, 22 years old. She got caught stealing in the grocery store.
Yeah.
And you know, my grandmother went and got her out of the trouble, whatever. But my grandmother laid hands on her, and my cousin was grown at the time. You think my cousin thought about hitting my grandmother?
Not at all.
Not at all. She cried and said, "I'm sorry, grandmother."
Mm-hmm. Exactly what she should have done. Exactly what she should have done. She messed up. She got corrected. She accepted it, and she had remorse. Not only that she did what she did, but that she put her family in the situation that she put her family into. That's the behavior that we should exemplify. Not making a stupid video talking about I end up fighting my grandmother. Like, what? I mean, just completely unreasonable. Unreasonable. But meanwhile, and I don't even know where this video took place, but we're about to get into it. This was this year, 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And brothers is coming up missing and being found unalive. Who you think doing that? It's your adversary. Let's get to the video here. Let me cool out. I'm a little fired up. Let me cool out here. All right, let's get to the video. This is brought to us by our good brothers over at Black Journals. Sundown towns aren't just history. These recent events prove it. Link in the description box. Let's go.
In the shadows of sundown towns across America, where the sun dips low and darkness looms large, a sinister reality still haunts Black individuals, leading to their sudden disappearance and death. These towns, with their histories of racial violence and exclusion, remain a stark reminder that the promise of equality and justice is often a distant dream. For Qadir and Nazir Lewis, 19-year-old twin brothers from Lawrenceville, Georgia, this reality became a tragic fate.
A mystery on Bell Mountain. The bodies of twin brothers found in Towns County near the North Carolina line, 90 miles from their home in Lawrenceville.
The tragic deaths of Qadir Malik Lewis and Nazir Rahim Lewis has sent shockwaves through their community and beyond. On March 8, 2025, the brothers were found dead on Bell Mountain by hikers in Hiawassee, Georgia, a town with a notorious history of racial tension.
And I'm gonna be honest, as a truck driver, once you step on those back roads in this country, you are going back to the 1950s. So that's why I wish I knew those twins, because in Georgia, I would tell them, the Lyft driver, the Uber driver, don't trust them, because in this country, they are stealing organs from our people.
The cause of death was gunshot wounds. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, initially ruled the deaths as a murder-suicide scenario, but the family of the victim strongly disagrees with the GBI's findings, believing that something more sinister has occurred.
And first of all, shout out to the family for not believing what those cops were saying that they did to themselves. And I noticed something. I always see a pattern. Every time this happened in a sundown town, that's the first thing they say, because once you say that, now they got their narrative. Once they say that, they hoping that the family would go for it. So shout out to that family for not going for it. And look, by now, y'all know me. Y'all know I love to do my research. And I found this out. Hiwassee, Georgia, 94.2 Caucasian people, 0.4 black people. That told me everything I needed to know. The family said the brothers had booked a flight to Boston for 7 a.m. last Friday, but never made their flight. Just 24 hours later, they were found dead in an area the family said they had never visited before. The family said the brothers' plane tickets were found in their wallets on the mountain. And look, like I was saying earlier, I'm going to tell y'all what's going on. They took an Uber or a Lyft and they was kidnapped. I made multiple videos that these days people are kidnapping our people.
Georgia, it has been uncovered, happens to be one of the active sundown towns in the United States, which apparently rules out every possibility of the sad event as being the product of some accident or self-inflicted harm, like the Georgia Bureau of Investigation did readily mention. The family had reported that the twins have always been so warm with each other, which rules out any and every possibility of suicide. They cited the twins' incredibly close bond and protective nature towards each other.
They had a huge support system. Like, we know them that they wouldn't do anything like this. So to say that they did this to each other when they come from a family of love, and they love each other, they always together, we don't believe that. They didn't do this to each other. Something happened in those mountains, and we want answers.
That was Qadir and Nazir's aunt, Yasmin Bronner, emphasizing that the twins came from a family of love and would never harm each other. Qadir and Nazir were known for their inseparable relationship, often described as two peas in a pod. Their uncle, Rahim Bronner, shared that the twins were very protective of each other and had never even been seen getting into a fight before.
They're very protective of each other. They love each other. They're like inseparable. So I couldn't imagine them hurting each other because I never even seen them get into a fist fight before.
This close relationship the twin had has made it difficult for the family to accept the possibility of one brother harming the other.
There's no motive. There's no motive. There's no bad blood. These are twins. These twins, according to everybody in the family, these individuals wouldn't hurt other people, let alone each other, in this manner. Nothing is adding up. Nothing makes sense.
The circumstances surrounding the twins' death are puzzling. According to the family, Qadir and Nazir had plans to visit friends in Boston and had even booked a flight. However, they never boarded the plane, and their airline tickets were found in their wallets. The family questions how the twins, who had never visited Bell Mountain or Hiwassee, ended up there nearly 90 miles from their home in Lawrenceville, Georgia.
How they end out in the mountains, they don't hike out there. They've never even been out there. They don't know nothing about Hiwassee, Georgia. They never even heard of Bell Mountains. So how did they end up right there?
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, claims to be leading the investigation into the deaths. But while autopsies have been completed, the official cause and manner of death are still pending further forensic tests.
I did reach out to the GBI tonight. A spokesperson says the twins' autopsies is finished, but they're awaiting additional forensic testing to be finished, as well as the investigation portion of this, before they issue a final ruling on the brothers' causes of death.
The GBI confirmed that autopsies have been completed, but the agency is still awaiting additional forensic test results, along with additional investigative work before issuing a final ruling on the cause of death. And how ironic that they need time to investigate, but the autopsy is finished. And you telling me that you need time to investigate. This town, this county has a population of 1,002 people. You telling me no one knows anything? And we know how those small towns get. Everybody talk, everybody gossip. Oh, Caucasian people ain't different from black people. They gossip too, probably even more. They gossip, they talk your business, they tell everything, especially when somebody dies in their town. So you telling me out of 1,002 people, no one knows anything. Make it make sense.
The family is seeking answers and justice for their loved ones, and a GoFundMe campaign has been launched to support them. The campaign has raised over $62,000, showcasing the community's support and solidarity. In a related development, days after, a 42-year-old volunteer firefighter, Scott Curlin, was arrested and charged with misdemeanor obstruction for allegedly taking photos of the crime scene.
And then to add on top of the chaos and the confusion. You have a local authority, obviously tied into not only the fire department, but also obviously the police department, the medical examiner's department. These individuals don't work in silos, they work together. He then takes a picture and releases it to the public. But you can't do that in a silo. You can't do that by yourself. That means you got some public folk that you can talk to, that you can release this picture to. So who are you talking to in the public to release the picture? And why are you doing it in the first place? Who told you to do this? Have you ever done this before? If you've never done it before, that means that you're probably under a directive for the first time to do something like this, because I'm sure it's not the first time that a dead body has been found in that area. But why this time did you decide to do these actions?
Now, we don't know just how many people shared this horrific picture of the twins' dead bodies, but tonight I confirmed with the Towns County Schools the picture had been shared among students.
Oh my goodness. It's scary. I'm like literally scared to actually go on social media. I'm scared to pick up my phone. I'm like, because if I see that picture, I already know that I might have a heart attack.
Imagine if their mothers see that, like, that would really destroy her. She's already going through a lot.
It's very disrespectful to this family. I feel like our privacy was invaded.
However, Scott Curlin was subsequently dismissed from his role for breaching department protocol. As the investigation continues, the family remains steadfast in their pursuit of truth and justice.
There are more questions than answers. I'm with the family on this one. There needs to be an exhaustive investigation into every element of this case, and hopefully there will be a just outcome, but we're going to stay on top of it until there is. Jackson, thoughts here?
Yeah, I think the suicide notion is that seems incredibly unlikely for, two young men at the stage that they were in their lives, and their family didn't say that they were ever suicidal or depressed or anything like that, for them to just take themselves out there and do that. More likely they were kidnapped for some reason. Definitely something that no parent should have to deal with. They had their whole lives ahead of them, and they definitely deserve justice. So hopefully we get more concrete information.
There's been increasing reports lately concerning Blacks who suddenly disappear on their way traveling through certain states and can't be found by their loved ones. It's becoming unquestionably true that sundown towns are still in existence in the United States.
Multiple videos that these days people are kidnapping our people. Not even just kidnapping them. They used it in hospitals too. They using our Black women in hospitals. They forcing them to have C-sections so they can take out certain organs out of their body to give to the rich, and then close them back up, seal them back up, and a few days later they die. I'm telling you, they doing this to our people. Not just in Georgia, not just in New York. They doing it in Alabama too. I made videos about that. They doing that to the prisoners. They using that as an excuse. The state of Alabama gave a college, UAB, the permission to take organs, to steal organs from prisoners. I'm telling you, that's what's really going on, but they ain't gonna talk about it. So that's why I say to that family, you cannot trust the cops. I'm gonna be real. You might have to do your own investigation. You might have to hire a private investigator, because all these people are on the same team, the investigators, the DA, especially when the town is this small, especially in a sundown town. They don't care about you. You're Black. They've been doing this. This is probably our first time just hearing about it, but they've been doing this. And a lot of people online, they love to talk about Black on Black crime. But when stuff like this happens, everybody quiet.
This heart-wrenching event has been nothing but a sad reminder to the Black community on what it was like for them way back in the United States. Many has labeled what happened to Kadir and Nazir Lewis as nothing other than modern-day lynching, demanding justice for the twin.
This is the modern-day lynching mechanism. If you can go back and watch any of the old pictures of lynchings where they have Black men and women suspended in the air from trees, you can find 50 to 100, sometimes hundreds, sometimes thousands of white people sitting there taking pictures of the body, taking pictures, smiling, laughing. They actually used to send postcards out when they did this. They used to send postcards with white people and the body hanging from the air, and they would send them to their relatives and family members. Like, this was a national pastime. And here we see a modern form of that, where a quote unquote volunteer firefighter. Now, he's not a real firefighter, so there's no telling what he does during the day. So he may just be some charlatan. He looks, honestly, I'm just going to say it, he looks to me like a guy, like a D-rug addict. He looks like an addict to me. But nevertheless, this man has gone and stayed. That article didn't show him. Luckily, I was able to find that picture. But he is the man that is going around town sharing these pictures. Now, also, you heard the lady say that the Bell Mountain does not have cameras. The gates don't open till 8 a.m. and they close at, and pardon the term, sundown. And they said that these twins' car were parked inside that gate with their phones, their wallets, and their tickets still there. Who in these days, especially 19-year-olds, leaves their phone in the car, locked? And so when somebody first saw this video, they reached out to me and said that they were lured there by someone. You know, it was somebody, you know, whom, you know, gained or garnered their trust, possibly a law enforcement officer or a firefighter. But we've done a story about the Hiawassee walking trail before, where Trevante Jamal Schubert was found just about a year and a half ago in that same manner, but he was suspended in the air from a tree. Of course, you know what they said. It was a S word. But this is once again an evidence of the insensitivity, you know, the maliciousness, the evidence of foul play, if you ask me. You know, and these are the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren of the people who used to take pictures by the bodies hanging in the air. And so I think this man deserves a lot more charges. But this definitely adds a stranger twist to the story. Hopefully, they will not just kind of rule it out.
The case highlights concerns about violence, racial disparities, and the need for systemic changes to prevent such tragedies. It also raises questions about the handling of cases involving Black individuals, particularly when authorities quickly conclude a murder-suicide scenario without thorough investigation.
We want answers. We want to know exactly what happened to the twins.
Will the family of Qadir and Nazar Lewis get justice for the cold murder of their children? Will the American system stand up and do what is right by fishing out the perpetrators behind this evil? This brings us to the end of this sobering video. We hope the family gets the justice they seek so that they can be at least relieved from the painful, plaguing deaths of their children who were in their prime and their promising future snatched off. Just like that. Thank you for watching.
Man, that is a heart-wrenching story. And I think worse is at the very end when it shows the delusion of our people. You're not going to get justice from these people. People are not going to come forth and tell you what they did. It's not going to happen. They're going to lie to the very end. They kidnapped these children and did horrible things to them. They're not going to tell you that. And as horrible and horrendous and tragic as it is, this is not unusual. This is written all throughout history. Since we've been here, these things have occurred. I can't recall a situation with twin boys or with twins, but I can see these people salivating at the idea. It's two of them. 2 for 1. I can clearly see him excited. He said they was lured. No, they were forced at gunpoint. I'm sure of it. That whoever took them wherever they was going, if you don't walk, I'm gonna shoot you. And they walked. They did exactly what they were told to do, in the hopes that somehow it would all work out. But it never works out. You can never surrender to your captors. But we don't teach our children that. We teach our children that everything's going to be all right. It's going to all work out. And we got to stop that. We got to teach them what's real. What is real is you was brought to this place in chains. And the people who brought you here have never cared anything about you. You mean absolutely nothing to them. They have no bones, no reason to do well by you. There's no investment in you on their part. The investment we have is in ourselves and in each other. We have to look out one for another. That is the setup from the beginning. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall in any wise rebuke your neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. You shall not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of your own people. Everybody gets that except us. Everybody understands that except the people that wrote it and it was written to. Horrible situation. 2 bright young men snuffed out, and a family left in turmoil. And the answer is right in front of them. Horrible. Sad situation. It's my first time hearing about this. Black journalists put this out. It's been about a week ago or 2 weeks, 9 days ago. 9 days ago. And Dr. Rashad Ritchie was talking about it. I normally catch his stuff. I didn't even catch it then. I usually stay connected, but somehow I missed it. Went right over me. But man, rest the power to these 2 young brothers, man. I hate that happened. And it just goes to show you gotta be prepared. Because when you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. And if you think everything is gonna be all right, you know, you setting yourself up for to have your family devastated. And these 2 young men, 19 years old, you know, they didn't know anything. Who was teaching them? Who was showing them what's real and what's not? So, yeah, it's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. But sad. But we're gonna go ahead to the next video. You got anything to say on that, Art?
The answer is it's all in Torah, the instructions on how we should be walking. It's not something that's far off that we can't obtain it. We just have to read it with understanding. And and understand that it's talking about you, you so-called black man and black woman, right? It's really upsetting, because where is it safe for the so-called black man and black woman to be? And it's clearly not around, these people that hate us. And sometimes it's not even around our own people. We have to return to the Most High in spirit and in truth. Love one another like we love ourselves. Love the Most High. This is the way. This is what the Messiah was trying to show us.
Yeah.
I'll rest there.
Yeah. They'll say that we some religious fanatics or something stupid. No, this is the way, the truth, and the life. This is the words of the one who made everything. So, what does he have to gain to tell us something that's wrong? I mean, it's not even in him. There's no guile found in his mouth. He's not a man that he should lie. That's not how he operates. So, man, it's a hard. That's a heavy reality to sit that these young boys, these young men, were stolen away from their families and life just snatched away. And it was as if it was some kind of a sideshow or something. And then this idiot taking pictures. He like the brother said, he looked like a damn crackhead, meth head, some kind of drug user. And what in the world is he doing? And then they're gonna use him as a scapegoat. We know what happened. I'm certainly. I bet any sum of money. I bet every dollar I got that what happened in this situation. And I'm sorry to the family. I'm sorry to the parents, the aunties, uncles, the cousins, the friends, the community, all that were affected by these situations. And truthfully, we got to do better. We got to do better. Got to be prepared.
What year was that Ahmaud Arbery case? Was that 2020 as well, where the brother was jogging down in I think it might have been Georgia as well.
Yeah, I think it was 2020 or 2021. Let me see if I can find it right quick. 2020. Yeah, second month, 2020. Yeah,
it's wild because it's been constant and actually more than constant. It's picked up with the way that they are picking us off. Yeah. And then I see the way that we're killing one another. Fortunately, murders is down in Louisville, but that's, I don't know if that's a national trend or not, man. But it's just find ourselves in this captivity in a horrible position.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you think about the words that Harriet Tubman gave us. She said she freed 1,000 slaves, and she could have freed 1,000 more if she could have convinced them that they were slaves.
That's wild. It rings true now.
Yeah, 100%. We get ready to get into Malcolm here, Brother Malcolm, Elder Malcolm Shabazz, Malcolm Shabazz, and he said, his speech, the bullet of the ballot. I mean, I felt like he was giving that to us right here today. With this election just passed us a couple months ago. I mean, that was prevalent right here. You think that's coincidence when you read these words on this in the text, in the scripts, and these words jump off the page and form a picture. They form a picture in my mind. You think that's coincidence? No. No. Abba is trying to get information to us in all of these situations. It's not a coincidence. These things just don't happen. They just don't occur out of thin air. Again, let's continue. We'll be on this all night. This is our very wonderful brother, Malcolm X, Malcolm Shabazz, The Painful Truth About Race in America. Once again, brought to us by our good brothers over at Black Journal. Shout out to those brothers doing great work, making great videos, putting out information that is necessary for our development, for our knowledge, for our learning. And praises to the Most High for giving us all that he's done, all that he's given, and continues to give. Let's go.
I would like to start out by thanking those who are responsible for our being here for the invitation to speak here on the campus at Michigan State University and to express our views on what we feel is America's most serious problem, the race problem. And it should be pointed out at the outset that I represent the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, whose followers are known as the Muslims here in America, and actually are the fastest growing religious group among black people anywhere in the Western Hemisphere. And it is our intention to try and spell out what the philosophy and aims and motivations of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad happen to be, and his solution to this very serious problem that America finds herself confronted with.
Malcolm X stood before a mostly white campus and told the truth. Integration was a lie. Civil rights leaders were being used, and black people needed more than equality. They needed power. This speech was a direct hit at the system and at the mindset that kept black people begging for a seat instead of building their own. In this video, we will break down this historic speech. Please take the time to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to us. Let's hear more from Malcolm X about that.
And I might point out, too, that if you don't think that the problem is serious, then you need only to listen to the Attorney General, Robert F. Kennedy, and almost every speech he's been involved in, especially during the past few months, and even today, he has pointed out that the race problem is America's most serious domestic problem. And since the problem is so serious, it's time to take some serious steps to get to the factors that create this problem. And again, I want to thank the African Students Association and the Campus NAACP for displaying the unity necessary to bring a very controversial issue before the students here on campus. The unity of Africans abroad and the unity of Africans here in this country can bring about practically any kind of achievement or accomplishment that black people want today. And when I say the Africans abroad and the Africans here in this country, the man that you call a Negro is nothing but an African himself. But some of them have been brainwashed into thinking that Africa is a place with no culture, no history, no contribution to civilization or science. So many of these Negroes, they take offense when they're identified with their homeland. But today we want to point out the different types of Negroes that you have to deal with. And once you know there's more than one type, then you won't come up with just one type solution. And to point out how timely the invitation is or was, I don't want to read newspapers to you, but in the Detroit News, dated Thursday, January the 17th, it told about the Interfaith Council of Religion that was held in Chicago last week. And the topic of their conversation was the race problem here in America. And it pointed out that all of the time that they spent and money that they spent, actually they didn't get to the meat of the issue. And in this particular copy of the paper, on page 3, the chaplain at Wayne State University actually criticized the efforts of these Protestant, Catholics, and Jews in Chicago last week for failing to bring spokesmen to that conference who really would speak for black people and spell out issues that were not being spelled out by the others. And I just want to read a recommendation that he made. Mr. Boyd believes that the conference might have accomplished much good if the speakers had included a white supremacist and a Negro race leader, preferably a top man in the American Black Muslim movement. He said that a debate between them would undoubtedly be bitter, but it would accomplish one thing. It would get some of the real issues out into the open. And I think that the man is right. Most of the so-called Negroes that you listen to on the race problem usually don't represent any following of black people. Usually they are Negroes who have been put in that position by the white man himself. And when they speak, they're not speaking for black people. They're saying exactly what they know the white man who put them in that position wants to hear them say. So again, I think that it was very progressive and objective on the part of these two sponsoring groups to give us an opportunity to tell you how black people really think and how black people really feel and how dissatisfied black people have become increasingly so with the conditions that our people find ourselves in here in this country. Now, in speaking in professing to speak for black people, by representing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you want to know, who does he represent? Who does he speak for? There are two types of Negroes in this country. There's the bourgeois type, who blames himself to the conditions of his people and who is satisfied with token solutions. He's in the minority. He's a handful. He's usually the hand-picked Negro who benefits from token integration. But the masses of black people who really suffer the brunt of brutality and the conditions that exist in this country are represented by the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So when I come in here to speak to you, I'm not coming in here speaking as a Baptist or a Methodist or a Democrat or a Republican or a Christian or a Jew, or not even as an American. Because if I could stand up here and speak to you as an American, we wouldn't have anything to talk about. The problem would be solved. But we don't even profess to speak as an American. We are speaking I'm speaking as a black man. And I'm letting you know how a black man thinks, how a black man feels, and how dissatisfied black man should have been 400 years ago. So, and if I raise my voice, you forgive me or excuse me. I'm not doing it out of disrespect. I'm speaking from my heart, and you get it exactly as the feeling brings it out. When I pointed out that there are two kinds of Negroes, some Negroes don't want a black man to speak for them. That type of Negro doesn't even want to be black. He's ashamed of being black. And you'll never hear him refer to himself as black. Now, that type, we don't tend to speak for. You can speak for him. In fact, you can have him.
Malcolm begins by pointing to something the country had already been avoiding. The race issue wasn't a side problem. It was the issue. Even the government's top law enforcement official had said as much. But instead of facing it directly, institutions kept circling it. Religious groups held conferences, issued statements, and brought in speakers, but they avoided the core issue. They didn't invite the people who spoke for the black community. Malcolm calls this out. These national conversations were full of effort, but lacked honesty. The speakers weren't chosen because they had real credibility. They were chosen because they were safe. They could talk about racism in a way that didn't threaten anyone. They kept the anger manageable and the blame vague. That was the real goal. He wasn't interested in that kind of performance. He came to speak as someone who had lived the problem, not studied it. He didn't claim a political party. He didn't claim a national identity. He wasn't trying to fit into anyone's system. He spoke as a black man. That's it. And that was enough. He also made it clear that not every black voice is the same. Some people have learned how to benefit from the system by keeping quiet. They appear in positions of influence, but don't speak for the masses. They speak for the people who gave them that position. Malcolm doesn't waste time pretending they're allies. He says outright that these figures have been selected for their silence. They say what white institutions want to hear. The deeper point is this: there isn't one kind of black experience, so there can't be one solution. If the only people being heard are the ones who are already comfortable, then nothing will change for those who aren't. Most black Americans weren't asking for token inclusion or symbolic progress. They were angry, tired, and done being polite.
And the only thing that makes white people completely satisfied and black people completely satisfied when they're in their right mind is when the black man has his own and the white man has his own. You have what you need, we have what we need. And then both of us have something, and even the Bible says, God bless the child that has his own. And the poor so-called Negro doesn't have his own name, doesn't have his own language, doesn't have his own culture, doesn't have his own history, he doesn't have his own country, he doesn't even have his own mind. And he thinks that he's black because God cursed him. He's not black because God cursed him. He's black because, rather, he's cursed because he's out of his mind. He has lost his mind. He has a white mind instead of the type of mind that he should have. So when these so-called Negroes who want integration try and force themselves into the white society, which doesn't solve the problem, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that that type of Negro is the one that creates the problem. And the type of white person who perpetuates the problem is the one who poses as a liberal and pretends that the Negro should be integrated, and as long as he integrates someone else's neighborhood. But all these whites that you see running around here talking about how liberal they are, and we believe everybody should have what they want and go where they want and do what they want. As soon as a Negro moves into that white liberal's neighborhood, that white liberal he moves out faster than the white bigot from Mississippi, Alabama, and from someplace else. So we won't solve the problem listening to that Uncle Tom Negro, and the problem won't be solved listening to this so-called white liberal. The only time the problem is going to be solved is when a black man can sit down like a black man and a white man can sit down like a white man and make no excuses whatsoever with each other in discussing the problem. No offense will stem from factors that are brought up, but both of them have to sit down like men, one side and on the other side, and look at it in terms of black and white, and then take some kind of solution based upon the factors that we see rather than upon that which we would like to believe. And when I say that this Negro wants to force his way into the white man's family, this integrationist-minded Negro wants to force his way into the white man's family, some don't believe that. Some take issue with that. But you take all of the integrationists, all of the those who are used to finance the program of the integrationists, the average so-called Negro celebrity, put all of them in one pot. And as fast as you name them off, you'll find that every one of them is married either to a white woman or a white man. From Lena Horne, Eartha Kitt, Sammy Davis, and you could name them all night long. Although they say that this is not what we want, that's what they've done. That's what they have. And we don't, the black masses don't want what Lena Horne wants, or what Sammy Davis wants, or what, who's his name, the rest of them want. Usually you'll find that before Sammy Davis and Lena Horne and Eartha Kitt and Harold Belafonte become involved in a mixed marriage, you could go into the Negro community, anyone across the country, and find those stars with records on the jukeboxes in the Negro community. You can't walk into a Negro community today and find anybody that Negro community knows is involved in a mixed marriage with their records being popular in the Negro community. Subconsciously, a Negro doesn't have any respect or regard or confidence, or nor can he be moved by a black man who marries a white woman, or a black woman who marries a white man. And when they put out that picture to you that all of us want your woman, no, just that 20th century Uncle Tom. He wants her. And then when you think you're going to solve your problem by pleasing him, you're only making the problem worse. You have to go back and listen to the problem as it is for the black people, not by these hand-picked handful of Uncle Toms who benefit from token integration. Also, this type of so-called Negro, by being intoxicated over the white man, he never sees beyond the white man. He never sees beyond America. He never looks at himself or where he fits into things on the world stage. He only can see himself here in America, on the American stage or the white stage, where the white man is in the majority, where the white man is the boss. So this type of Negro always feels like he's outnumbered, or he's the underdog, or he's the minority. And it puts him in the role of a beggar, cowardly, humble, Uncle Tom and beggar on anything that he says is that should be his by right. Whereas there is, when it comes, he wants to be an American rather than to be black. He wants to be something other than what he is. And knowing that America is a white country, he knows he can't be black and be an American too. So he never calls himself black. He calls himself an American Negro, a Negro in America. And usually he'll deny his own race, his own color, just to be a second-class American. He'll deny his own history, his own culture. He'll deny all of his brothers and sisters in Africa, in Asia, in the East, just to be a second-class American. He denies everything that he represents, or that everything that was in his past, just to be accepted into a country and into a government that has rejected him ever since he was brought here. So if this Negro is sick, he has to be sick to try and force himself among some people who don't want him, or to be accepted into a government that has used its entire political system and educational system to keep him relegated to the role of a second-class citizen. And therefore, he spends a lifetime begging for acceptance into the same government that made slaves of his people. He gives his life for a country that made his people slaves, and still confines them to the role of second-class citizens. And we feel that he wastes his time begging white politicians, political hypocrites, for civil rights or for some kind of first-class citizenship. He's like a watchdog or a hound dog. You may run into a dog. No matter how vicious a dog is, you find him out in the street, he won't bite you. But when you get him up on the porch, he will growl. He'll take your leg. Now that dog, when he's out in the street, only his own life is threatened. And he's never been trained to protect himself. He's only been trained by his master to think in terms of what's good for his master. So when you catch him in the street and you threaten him, he'll go around you. But when you come up on through the gate when he's sitting on the master's porch, then he'll bare his fangs and get ready to bite you. Not because you're threatening him, but because you're threatening his master, who has trained him not to protect himself, but to protect the property of the master.
Malcolm challenges the idea that progress comes from getting closer to the system that excludes you. For him, the problem wasn't just inequality, it was dependency. When people cannot control their language, history, culture, land, or identity, they're not living freely. They're surviving inside someone else's world. This is why he keeps returning to the concept of ownership. A person can't be whole if everything they touch belongs to someone else. The way out of that condition isn't more access to the system. It's breaking away from the need to rely on it at all. Ownership isn't just about land or money. It's about having something that isn't borrowed, permitted, or conditional. Malcolm isn't interested in symbols. He cares about the foundation. That means land, economics, education, and mental freedom. And none of that can come from a seat at someone else's table. It has to come from building your own. His view of the integrationist is not soft. He sees that mindset as one of defeat, not just politically, but spiritually. It reflects a person who has given up on self-worth without white approval. That kind of person becomes easy to control. They speak only when allowed. They think only within limits. They become loyal to a system that doesn't see them as equal. Malcolm is not asking for justice inside that framework. He's refusing it entirely. In doing so, he forces the audience to confront a hard question. If someone has to ask another group for every basic right, is that person free? Do they believe in their value if they are willing to beg for inclusion?
Because if white people get the impression that Negroes all endorse this old turn the other cheek cowardly philosophy of Dr. Martin Luther King, then whites are going to make the mistake of putting their hands on some black man thinking that he's going to turn the other cheek, and he'll end up losing his hand and losing his life in the trial. So it is always better to let someone know where you stand. And there are a large number of black people in this country who don't endorse anything of what Dr. Martin Luther King and these other 20th century religious Uncle Toms are putting in front of the public eye to make it look like this is the way, this is the behavior, or this is the thought pattern of most of our people. Also, this new type, you'll find, he doesn't look upon it as being any honor to be in America. He knows he didn't come here on the Mayflower. He knows he was brought here in a slave ship. But this 20th century Uncle Tom, he'll stand up in your face and tell you about when his fathers landed on Plymouth Rock. His father never landed on Plymouth Rock. The rock was dropped on him, but it wasn't dropped on him. So this site doesn't make any apology for being in America, nor does he make any apology for the problem his presence in America presents for Uncle Sam. He knows he was brought here in chains, and he knows he was brought here against his will. He knows that the problem itself was created by the white man, and that it was created because the white man brought us here in chains against our will. It was a crime. And the one who committed that crime is the criminal today who should pay for the crime that was committed. You don't put the crime in jail. You put the criminal in jail. And kidnapping is a crime. Slavery is a crime. Lynching is a crime. And the presence of 20 million black people in America against their will is a living witness or living testimony of the crime that Uncle Sam committed. Your forefathers committed when our people were brought here in chains. And the reason the problem can't be solved today is you try and dress it up and doctor it up and make it look like a favor was done to the black man by having brought the black man here. But when you realize that it was a crime that was committed, then you approach the solution to that problem in a different light, and then you can probably solve it. And as long as you think Negroes are running around here of the opinion that you're doing them a favor by letting them have some of this and letting them have some of that, well, naturally, every time you give a little bit more justice or freedom to the black man, you stick out your chest and say, see, we're solving the problem. You're not doing the black man any favor. If you stick a knife in my back, if you pull it in 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, you haven't done me any favor. If you pull it all the way out, you haven't done me any favor. And this is what you have to realize. If you put a man in jail against his will, illegally, he's not guilty, you frame him up. And then because he resents what you've done to him, you put him in solitary confinement to break his spirit. After his spirit is broken, you let him out a little bit and give him the general run of the prison, you haven't done him any favor. If you let him out of prison completely, you haven't done him any favor because you put him in there unjustly and illegally in the first place. Now you have 20 million black people in this country who were brought here and put in a political, economic, and mental prison. This was done by Uncle Sam. And today you don't realize what a crime your forefathers had committed. And you think that when you open the door a few cracks and give this little integration, an intoxicated Negro, a chance to run around in the prison yard, that's all he's doing, that you're doing him a favor. That as long as he has to look up to someone who doesn't represent him and who doesn't speak for him, that person only represents the warden. It doesn't represent some kind of president or mayor or governor or senator or congressman or anything else. So this new type, the fact has to be faced that he exists, especially since he's in the house. And he didn't come here against his will, so you have to take the blame for his being here. And once you take the blame, then it's easier for you to approach the problem more sensibly and try and get a solution. And the solution can never be based upon hypocrisy. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that this solution has to be based upon reality. Tokenism is hypocrisy. One little student in the University of Mississippi, that's hypocrisy. A handful of students in Little Rock, Arkansas, is hypocrisy. A couple students going to school in Georgia is hypocrisy. Integration in America is hypocrisy in the rawest form, and the whole world can see it. All this little tokenism that is dangled in front of the Negro, and then he said, see what we're doing for you, Tom. Why, the whole world can see that this is nothing but hypocrisy, and all you do is make your image worse. You don't make it better.
Malcolm closes by tearing down one of the most persistent lies in American political life, that black people should be grateful to be here. That lie has been repeated through laws, media, and education. It tells the black population that citizenship is a gift, that integration is progress, and that the system is doing them a favor. Malcolm rejects all of it. He frames the presence of black people in America not as a result of migration, but as evidence of a crime. This wasn't a journey. It was an abduction. That matters because it changes the way responsibility is assigned. A crime has a criminal. A system built on that crime can't fix itself by offering symbols and surface-level reform. A wound inflicted by force can't be healed through politeness or slow policy shifts. It has to be addressed by calling the harm what it is. Malcolm offers no apology for his presence, tone, or message. He wasn't seeking common ground. He was speaking from the ground that had already been stolen, occupied, and built on a lie. And he wanted that lie named. The problem was created by power, not misunderstanding. And it won't be solved until power stops hiding behind symbols and starts owning up to the crime it still benefits from. If you found this breakdown valuable, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for.
All right, man. Leave it to our dearly departed elder brother Malcolm Shabazz to bring it home and make it plain. You know, he said exactly what Akazakiyahu was feeling, and exactly what I would like to tell the family of the twins. He made it that plain, that simple, to understand. You're not gonna get you're not gonna get justice from the unjust. They don't have any benefit in giving you justice. There's no benefit to them. So, you can't just sit in silence and suffer in silence and hope that somehow we're gonna all of a sudden just start getting along and everything is gonna be all right. That's not gonna happen. That's not what this is. It was never meant to be that. Just like Babylon, we got to get the hell up out of here. We got to get back to our own land and our own way of life. Mm-hmm. That's the only resolution, simple and plain. But guess what? Our land is occupied by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So, simply put, we on Ha'aba's time. We on the Father's time. When he decides it's time, then the time will be. But we can't just kumbaya or hold hands and hug and expect everything to just somehow work out. That's not what this is. It was never that. It was never that. And it's not going to become that. Mashiach is not going to return and say, "Oh, y'all figured it out without me."
Right.
No,
Right.
that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. The prophecy will not fail.
That's right.
It will not fail. The prophecy is that Mashiach is going to return and his garments are going to be covered in blood. Covered. He said he's going to stain all his raiment. All of it. He's going to come back white, look like he's been treading in the wine fat. That's what the prophecy says. That's not Hezekiah speaking. That's what the prophecy says. And that's what we're waiting on. The return of Hamashiach. The return of Israel to prominence. The return of us to our own land. Putting things back to the way that they're supposed to be. And Malcolm, this video was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, it never fails. It's like he's speaking to us right here, right now.
Indeed, it's a perfect follow-up to the previous video. And it seems like it happens a lot when you bring out, Elder Malcolm Shabazz. I'm sitting here listening to him speak, and I'm thinking it was something in his ruach. Now, mind you, he I don't know if he was keeping statutes and commandments. However, it appears to me that the Most High put the same ruach in him that was in Maccabee.
Indeed, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, I mean, he definitely had that same ruach, that same spirit, you know, and he was about the betterment of his people, and he knew
Come,
what it would take to get our people better, and it wasn't joining hands and singing and hugging and kissing with the same people who inflicted the pain on you. He said, if you stick a knife in you 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, you haven't done you no favor. That ain't no favor, you know. Man, this is so deep. I honestly, I don't. I wish I don't know how much time we got left. Honestly, I don't. But I know it's some things that got to happen before Hamashiach returns. But uh, I wouldn't dare say, oh, we only got this much longer. That's not my place to do. That's up to the Most High. So all I can say about it is that our time is coming.
yeah, indeed, indeed. And what's really sad in a lot of ways in this is most of our people are unaware of what's on the horizon. They're so focused on this world, and he said, being some of us are okay with being a second class citizen.
Right.
I'm tired of hearing about my people. People lying and say that we're killing ourselves, and when they've killed us, continually haven't really stopped since that lynching period. I'm tired of hearing stories about young so-called black children shot in their grandmama's backyard because somebody thinks that they're a prowler.
Right.
Tired of hearing stories about brother jogging down the street, followed and shot by a shotgun.
Yeah.
It ain't no way for us to live. It ain't no way I want my daughters to grow up, man.
Exactly. 1,000% on that. Indeed. Praises to the Abba. That we got this. It's we're not fooled by this system. The system is not. The Abba to open up our eyes, and we can see clearly that this whole thing is false. It's not real. Praises to the Abba for that, because, man, we could be right there with him, just completely in the dark. But the Father has given us knowledge and understanding and wisdom, and to move in the proper manner. And I'm thankful. Our time is coming. It's just a matter of time when it's going to be. When it is, it is. And there's nothing that anybody can do to stop it. Our Father is not one that will lie. Everything is going to come to pass. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going. It's in His Word, Aki. It's in His Word, and He loves to execute judgment. And it's always righteous. It's always righteous. What was I getting ready to say? It slipped me that quick. But all praises to the Most High for all that He's done, all that He's doing, and all that He will do. It's not the time for us to get discouraged, Yasharal. It's the time for us to increase in Him, and be prepared. I believe the Hebrew word is kun. Kun. That's prepared.
Yeah, indeed, Aki. Indeed, all praises to the Abba. There's so much to take away from these situations here. As sad as the first story was, as real as Brother Malcolm Shabazz, Brother Malcolm X, as his video was, I Abba's even more real, and he will not fail. And guess what? They won't be able to cut him down. They won't be able to do anything against him. They won't be able to do anything against his Messiah, his deliverer, his
That's
Redeemer.
right.
You know, when he sends him, it's a wrap. So every little trick you try, every little weapon you pull out, none of it is going to amount to anything. So praises to the Abba. We'll go ahead and close this on down. You know, I just love having this picture up there.
Yeah.
You know, we needed that. We needed those words after that first video. We really did. We do this for a specific reason. Romans chapter 10 and verse 1. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to the Father, to Abba, for Israel is that they might be saved. We want to see our people saved. We want to see our people set free. We want to see our nation restored. We want to see our people return to prominence as the Most High have deemed, have prophesied through his prophets. How are we going to do it? First of all, we're going to keep the faith in Hamashiach, the Messiah, the Redeemer, our kinsman Redeemer. Second of all, Ecclesiastes chapter number 12 and verse number 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. It is so very important to understand that in the conclusion of the whole matter, we are to fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. At the end of the day, when it is all said and done, all the dust is settled and all the smoke is cleared, we will be judged on whether we have feared the Most High and kept his commandments. Why? Because this is the whole duty of man. I am Yaakazaki Yahu, joined by my most esteemed Ak Kenaniah, giving all praises, honor, and great esteem unto the Most High Power, Yahweh, Bashem, Hamashiach, Wamalak, Yahweh Shai, and to the 12 tribes of Israel who are scattered through the four quarters of the earth. I say Shalom, Wa Baruchim, that is peace and blessings. And I cannot wait to the day when the Most High brings us back together and we are once again 12 tribes, one family, one nation, under the Most High Power, under one covenant, back in our own land with a heart of flesh and no more a heart of stone, with all our enemies and all our adversaries and all those who hate us under our feet. Until that day come, shalom, family.
Shalom, Mishpachah.
All praises to the Abba. Praise you, Abba Yah. Kwam Yasha'Allah.
Kwam Yasha'Allah.
Barak Hashem Yahweh.